Bonnie, you're good? Good afternoon, everyone. We are going to call. We're going to call the meeting to order and say hello. Summer reigns supreme. Continues on. But today we had a little reminder of what is to come, of what is to, pardon the pun, what is to fall upon us. I just thought John would like that one. John is our pun king. I thought he would like that one. Okay, call everything to order. The very first thing we will deal with today, after I get this thing working here, is the agenda. I'll accept the motion on it. As presented, moved by Councillor Ledwell, seconded by Councillor Tessier. Are there any additions beyond the ones I see? We have a nice blue piece of paper today, which I'm not used to, and the planner has failed us in our technology today by providing us not one, not two, but 3 sheets of paper with a report on it that apparently Mr. Aker will be bringing in later. Is there anything else other than these 2 items to be added to the agenda?
He must be nervous because he's sitting.
And he's actually moved away from the CAO. You know what it is? The CAO has not been well. Her cough, he's afraid. That's why he's there out of fear.
We're a close crowd here in Mount Pearl.
We are going to call this question. All those in favor? Contrary-minded? All right, well, first item on the agenda then would be the minutes and action report from our meeting of August 6th. I will accept the motion as presented, moved by Councillor Stahl, seconded by Councillor Aker. Are there any errors or omissions? Again, this from the Public Council meeting, as well as the action report from our meeting of August 6th. Hearing no errors or omissions, we'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion carried. Business arising then, and I'd ask that you refer to the numbered agenda item if you could, if there is any business arising from that meeting to be addressed. Deputy Mayor Locke.
Just a question here, Your Worship, on number 555 regarding the RFP for our winter salt.
Yep.
I noticed here that we had a joint tender, and I'm just wondering what that sort of saved us. I wasn't here for the discussion, so it was probably discussed during the meeting, but I was just curious as I was reading down through this with the joint tender. Any idea as to what it came in as a savings?
I believe it's minuscule. It is minuscule. How do you say it properly? It's tiny. It's tiny. Councillor Walsh.
My understanding is that the actual cost of salt, I don't know what to your question, I'm not sure what the saving was, but I think it's risen fairly dramatically.
It has in the last 3 years.
2 or 3 years. So I think we're up from about $500,000 to over $800,000 and rising. It doesn't seem like there's any end in sight to it. So I don't know what the actual saving was by cost sharing, but we're looking at going in on government tenders for different things of that nature. But I know the cost is exorbitant, which might have prompted us to go in that direction, obviously.
It was a saving. I think I can say to you confidently, based on what Mr. Antle indicated, and he's on vacation now, it was a saving, but it is not dramatic. But nonetheless, the partnership is what led to that saving, is my understanding. Any other business arising from the minutes of August 6th? Okay, hearing none, we will move along. We have one proclamation that we are going to read today, and this deals with an event that's coming up this weekend in the city of Mount Pearl, of course, and that's Mount Pearl's Healthy Lifestyle Challenge Week, August 24th to 30th, whereas Mount Pearl's Healthy Lifestyle Challenge Expo will create awareness of healthy lifestyle choices and opportunities that are available in Mount Pearl and the surrounding area. And whereas the Canadian Fitness and Lifestyle Research Institute's Can Play study, Canadian Physical Activity Levels Among Youth study, shows that Canadian children aged 5 to 19 take approximately 11,600 daily steps on average. Children and youth in Newfoundland and Labrador take significantly fewer steps than the national average at roughly 10,800 steps. Whereas in Newfoundland and Labrador, children who participate in organized physical activities and sport take on average 2,100 more daily steps than children who do not participate in these types of activities. This general pattern is similar to that found nationally. Therefore, I, Randy Sims, Mayor of Mount Pearl, hereby proclaim August 24th to 30th as a Mount Pearl's Healthy Lifestyle Challenge Week. I also urge all residents of Mount Pearl to become physically active during Healthy Lifestyle Challenge Week and throughout the year. We have signed the proclamation, and I don't know whether there's anyone who wishes to actually speak to that at this point or not. Councillor Tessier, if you would.
Yes, this, as you know, is an extension, I think, of the Healthy Lifestyles Expo that's coming up at the Glacier this weekend.
That's part of it, yes.
Yes, and essentially, I mean, a couple of years ago, our council undertook a challenge along with other municipalities as well, a Healthy Lifestyles Challenge, and I know that you, Your Worship, and Councillor Stoyles and Councillor Ledwell, we're all part of this very active public challenge, and did us quite proud, I have to say, and have maintained your healthy lifestyles, which is absolutely wonderful. But we all, everybody, regardless of age, demographic, anything, everybody really, this is a reminder for everybody to undertake very easy steps, and steps being the operative word right here, to maintain a healthy, balanced lifestyle. This is talking about walking. This is not talking about going to the gym and bench pressing. I mean, yes, that's all good and that's wonderful, but there are simple things that we can all do in our daily activities to take care of ourselves. And this is an extension of what's coming up this weekend that we'll get into with the Community Services report. But again, it's a reminder to everybody that small steps can make a very, very big difference in the health, in your overall health benefits. You get one kick at this opportunity in your life, you know, and it's so easy to make small changes, and they make a very, very big difference sometimes.
Amen to that. And I do believe that in the Community Services report, there's going to be further detail on what's happening on the weekend.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else wish to address that particular matter? If not, we will move along. We have no correspondence to report today, Council. We'll move to first committee report, which is Public Works. Councillor Walsh,
Thank you very much.
Is yours.
Thank you so much, Your Worship. We'll do the usual little update. During the course of the winter, Your Worship, as you and other members of Council are well aware, we do a number of necessary cuts to the street, and sometimes in the winter conditions, particularly January, February, March months, it's sometimes extremely difficult to replace them. We do patch them, and sometimes they're even left without being patched, but even when we patch them, they're kind of crude, not very evenly done. So what we do in this time of the year is actually make the cuts again, replace and fill in with asphalt, so that we have some temperatures to actually make the cut obviously not only more aesthetically pleasing, but it's obviously a little better to drive on. So we're in the midst of doing that. For those people out there who have not yet had their lawn repaired or their driveway repaired as a result of snow clearing operations, we're probably about 80% through that, but there are still a few properties that we haven't gotten to because of interruptions with the bulk garbage collection and all that sort of thing. Early this morning, fairly early this morning, it was the street cleaner was actually on the street where I live. You can hear it coming for quite a ways away, and we continue to be cleaning the streets throughout the city. In fact, I think some streets may have even been done a second time, Tina, correct? Which is great to see. And the MADVAC continues to be deployed into trails to try to keep the trails, the parkways clean. So we're doing well with all of that in terms of the outside operations. It's very typical summertime operations with patchwork, water and sewer services from the engineering side as well, and our cuts to the street in the process of repairing and repaving areas that need to be done. The only other thing that I'll mention, Your Worship, well, two things actually. One that's here on the iPads for everybody to see, and the other that's not. The vermicomposting pilot project, which is in the Park Avenue area, is going well. Some residents have been in the habit of putting grass clippings out in these orange bags. Now, unfortunately, we don't take the orange bags separately. They'll be left on the curb. We do take only the clear plastic bags, and the reason we do that is to try to ensure that, first of all, they are leaves and that the integrity of what's in the bag can be seen, because it's it's transparent and you can see through it, and they'll take them. So I've had a couple of people mention to me. One of them was my next door neighbor. He put some orange bags out hoping that they'd be taken, and they were actually left. The 3 bags were left, and I explained to him the reason for it, and he was okay with that and understood that. The vermicomposting pilot project is ongoing in Park Avenue, and it will be until later in the fall as well. The thing that's not listed here, just before Mr. Antle went on vacation, he did send me, he sent me a copy of the Bay Bulls Big Pond, the water levels. we're in reasonably good shape. We've had a couple of heavy rainfalls, and that's brought it up about 16, 18 inches. So that put us in even better shape than we were last year, this same period. So we're in reasonably good shape. Nothing to jump up and down about in terms of not paying attention to the ongoing water conservation plans and using water wisely. And that's basically it, just those couple of reminders for me. Thanks very much, Your Worship.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Just wondering, Councillor Walsh, on the uptake for the vermicomposting, is it, is there...
No, not good, actually. It's not where we'd like for it to be. In fact, the last time we checked, it was probably only around 15% or so of the neighborhood in the pilot zone was actually using the vermicomposting. The good news is that those who are seem to be very committed to it, and the integrity of the product is good. This is being done as a pilot project because the end user, which is a company in Goulds, they take it and they don't want to have anything else in it. They can't afford to have pesticides and other things in, animal feces or anything of those sorts of things. So they want to make sure that what they have they can use for the vermicomposting, and the integrity of the product is good. Has been very good, actually. The people who are using the service are really seem to be keen and are adhering to all of the guidelines that have been afforded to them. But the uptake is not what we'd like. We'd like to have 60, 70, 80% compliance. But, I guess you sort of take what you get. It also will be a bit of a test case, as all pilots are, in terms of whether or not we expand the service to the entire city beyond the pilot project. So we'll keep you posted on that when we have some more data to provide.
Okay, thank you. We're moving along. Community Services Committee, Councillor Tessier.
Thank you, Your Worship. We received a request from the Arena Board of Management for their fourth and final installment of their operating grant for 2013 in the amount of $36,407, and I so move that we release this final installment in that amount.
Moved, seconded by Deputy Mayor Locke. A question or comment first on any of that? All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion carried.
And back to that Healthy Lifestyles Challenge Expo that's Saturday coming, August 24th at the Glacier. It's happening between 10 and 4. This is a partnership with the Mount Pearl Sport Alliance, the Mount Pearl Seniors Independence, and Brighter Futures. And it's just an invitation for anybody to come and discover all the different ways that a healthy lifestyle can actually change and improve your life. There's going to be, my understanding is there's going to be booths there from the city, certainly from some corporations and community groups and businesses here in Mount Pearl that give people ideas, things that might motivate them, things that might fit their lifestyle to help improve their health. And if anybody wants any more information about it, they can certainly contact the city. They can contact Sean McKenna at 748-1046. And of course, we want to encourage as many people as possible to come out to this Lifestyles Expo on Saturday. It's a great, great good news story. It is free, by the way, which is always good. And we want to thank our major sponsor, Steel Communications. And the expo is also supported by the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador, the Department of Health and Community Services. The next item, Your Worship, on August 24th and 25th, there can be an expectation that there's going to be some severe traffic down around 111 Park Avenue. The Solid Rock Wesleyan Church on Park is actually having an open air service. I believe that this is, how many years have they done this now? I can't remember, but it's been several, and this is pretty popular. So we want to let people know that traffic is going to be pretty tight down there. Our MEOs are going to be on site as well to help monitor traffic and move it along if necessary as well, and to help with the parking.
What time is that? Because it gives us a date, but
we don't have a time. I don't have an actual time in the report that tells you what time the service actually is. I'm sure we could find out, and if anybody has any questions, they can call us here at City Hall. Do you know, Stefan?
Yes, Your Worship, it's 2 days. One is actually kind of a picnic, which is, I think, from 10 till 5 or 6, and then next day, I believe it's an afternoon session, like from, I'm trying to think, I think 10 to 3 or something like that.
So we can anticipate it. We can anticipate it to be very, very busy. So if somebody is planning on using Park Avenue to exercise patience, or probably find an alternate route if you don't need to use Park Avenue on those days. And of course, encourage people to go out and enjoy this event as well. The fall registration for swimming is out now. The dates are out. Mount Pearl residents can register on Tuesday, August 27th, beginning at 4 p.m., and non-residents can register on Thursday, August 29th, beginning at 4. People can certainly go to the pool. That's from 4 till 8 on the 27th and the 29th, and there's certainly online registration as well that's available from 4 p.m. on the 27th and the 29th as well. And the fall general registration program registration, I think we all got our fall activity guides in the mail recently. Real great comprehensive piece of work, and it gives us so much information about what's happening in Mount Pearl. And the Community Services General Program registration begins on September the 4th at the Reed Center. And again, if somebody has any more questions, they can refer to their fall activity guide or certainly call us here at City Hall as well. And on August the 15th, the movie in the park. I think I saw everybody who was in town and able to go with council went down to attend the movie in the park. I know that Director Collins was there as well, and some staff from our community services as well, and people from CIBC who were the major sponsor that night as well. The Smurfs played, and there was well over 500 people in the park, and it was so impressive. Lots of young people, lots of parents. People came very prepared. Yeah, people came very prepared. It was a little bit windy, but it didn't damper anybody's spirits at all. It was a beautiful event, and it made us really proud, I think, to see so many people come out into our park to participate in something like this. And it was really neat for us to be able to provide it. And CIBC, of course, was there as our major sponsor, passing out snacks and juice and popcorn. And it was absolutely wonderful. It really was. But it's it's a good one.
I believe we're becoming Mount Pun.
Mount Pond. But it was a wonderful event. I hope it's something that we can do more of next summer. I know that this summer is, clue enough, but I hope that next summer we can do more of it, because this was extremely popular. And when you think about it, I remember when our children were small, it was very, very expensive to take your children to a movie. So to be able to come to a movie that is offered to you at no cost, with the exception of a donation to the food bank, which is absolutely wonderful. And to have that many people come out and participate, it was just outstanding, and it was just a wonderful event overall. Great success. We want to thank everybody who's involved, including the community services staff and the volunteers who helped make this happen.
Thank you very much. Corporate Services, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, the movie was great. And I'm leading off with a Smurf color sheet here, which is what the movie was about.
The little blue people.
The blue people. So this is a revised invoices for approval, Your Worship. We have a total there of $3,093,700, and I move that amount be accepted as presented.
Moved, seconded by Councillor Aker. Any questions or comments? Items listed 1 through 10 and then 19. No question. Call it. All those in favour? Contrary minded, motion is carried.
See the big one there, Your Worship, is...
Your Worship, I abstain from number 5.
With Councillor Stoyles abstaining. Simplest thing to do.
Yep.
Due to a conflict.
And Your Worship, you can see that the big ticket item was our multiplex.
Yep.
Almost 2.4 million. So another one, Your Worship, I have that's not in the kit. Well, I think you had a revised committee report from Corporate Services. And this is a request from our Chief Administrative Officer to attend the 47th Annual Canadian Property Tax Association National Workshop. And that's being held this October 5th to the 9th in Montreal. And this year's theme is Taxation, the Other Side of the Equation. This is very timely. As you know, Your Worship, I attended the Urban Municipalities Committee meetings in Corner Brook this past weekend. So it's timely with the current fiscal framework discussions that are ongoing between Mount Pearl, the other urban municipalities, and the provincial government. So again, the request is to attend this conference October 5th to the 9th in Montreal 2013, and I so move.
Moved, seconded. Question or comment? All those in favour? Contrary minded, motion carried.
That's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much. Engineering Services, Councillor Ledwell.
Thank you, Your Worship. We start this evening with our usual update on the multiplex. As you can see there, financially, as of the end of July of 2013, we are 62% complete in the multiplex. We're almost 2/3 of the way there. So the project certainly remains on schedule and on budget. Looking great for sure. The roof trusses are now 100% installed, so we're working towards having the building closed in as we move into the fall season. And as you can see by the report in your kit, the interior work has begun. Interior walls are being constructed, and the interior staircase up to the second floor. Work has begun on that as well. One other item just to point out, the work on the front of the Glacier parking lot, the upgrade there is certainly going to be welcome, I'm sure, by all of the user groups, be it hockey and skating and all of the user groups that use the Glacier. We've started the work on upgrading that parking lot on August 12th, 2013. Of course, that's ongoing and is expected to be finished by the end of September. So that's good news all around as well.
All the blacktop is off it now, actually.
Yeah, so that should be done and ready for the hockey season coming up. Mm-hmm. The second item for engineering services this evening is a notice of motion. It's to do with fire hydrant bylaws. In accordance with Section 39 of the City of Mount Pearl Act, 1988, and Council's public notification policy, take notice that I will, at a regular meeting of Council, bring forward a motion to implement a fire hydrant bylaw relating to the regulation of fire hydrants in the City of Mount Pearl. And that's it for us, Your Worship.
Am I allowed to ask anything about that?
No, it's a notice of motion. You know that. You're the chair.
I know, but I'm curious.
Yeah, well, you have to wait.
Oh, you mean council won't give me leave to ask what that is?
Sure. You can ask what it is, but you can't debate it.
No. I'm just asking what it is. Leave to ask what it is. Councillor Ledwell, what the hell is that?
Well, Your Worship, it's a notice of motion, I guess, where we're looking at putting in a set of regulations that governs the use of fire hydrants, who's able to use them, how they should use them. There have been a couple of incidents in the past weeks, I guess, that have resulted in some, unsafe and inappropriate use of fire hydrants. And so at Engineering Services, staff are looking at putting in a set of regulations that will govern the proper use of fire hydrants so that we don't have any damages that occur.
I thought the only people who ever touched them were firefighters.
Well, that's precisely where we're going with it. That's the way it should be.
Okay, good. Can we look at getting them painted? I want all the fire hydrants in Mount Pearl to be the colors of the City of Mount Pearl. Blue and green, and the orange top. No, I've seen them painted different colors in different communities.
You can actually have it done with Disney characters or anything if you want.
Yeah, so you're on the fire. You're on the regional fire committee, Councillor Walsh.
I don't think they'd have a problem.
We want them painted the city colors
They're
next
not gonna
summer.
paint them.
No, we'll do them. We paint them next summer, city colors. That would look really sweet. All right. Thank you, sir, very much. Planning and Land Use Development Committee report, Councillor Aker.
First item we have, Your Worship and Council, is an application for an increase in the fence height. Our fencing regulations normally call for a maximum of 6 feet. Property owner at 2 Pollocks would like to increase the fence size to 8 feet along the portion of the fence that's adjacent to Moffat Road. This property is located on the corner of Pollocks and Moffat. From the point of view of Moffat Road, this fence will actually look like it's 6 feet because the property is actually 6 feet below. So the resident has asked us if we would provide a bit of leave here to give her an extra 2 feet. It seems appropriate because given the lay of her land relative to the adjacent roadway, which is basically where any privacy issues are coming from. And we reviewed this in committee. We had no problem with it. In fact, you can see that a building permit has been issued, and we just wanted to confirm that 8-foot height is okay with council. This is, under the fencing regulations, is a discretion of council. And I'd like to move that we approve the increase fence height to 8 feet at 2 Pollocks.
Moved and seconded by Councillor Ledwell. Question or comment? Hearing none. All those in favor? Economic development. Motion carried. Sorry, guys, I just read a word in front of me there and wouldn't say it. Sorry about that, brother. A little brain cramp, yeah.
Next item, Your Worship, is an application for variance, accessory building at 33 Baffin Drive. Essentially, the building that's being proposed is 44 meters square. According to our calculations and our regulations, the maximum allowed would be 7% of the lot, or 40 square meters. Council has the discretion to approve a 10% variance subject to a public notification and public feedback regulations and policies. There was a notice sent out to nearby residents. We have received no feedback, negative or otherwise, in support or against the size of the fence, I'm thinking back to the other one, the size of the accessory building.
I'm not alone.
Yeah. Now, there is a small issue with this accessory building. This is an extension of the building, I believe, in this particular case, and basically Newfoundland Power said it is encroaching upon their easement, but in this particular case, the homeowner is extending the front of the shed and not into the easement, so there is no further encroachment, and basically we're prepared at the department level and committee to move that we approve the variance, and I so move.
Moved, seconded. All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion carried.
Coming out of a process we had in recent weeks to rezone Pearlview subdivision Phase 6, recall the developer Cardinal Homes would like to have us rezone it to RMD, residential medium density, to allow basement apartments. We engaged in a public process whereby we evaluated whether we could change it from RSU 3, and typically in this case the neighbors came out and they voiced their opposition to that. Cardinal Homes respectfully has moved on. They were abiding by council's decision. They've made an application here for 33 residential lots to finish off Simcoe Drive. This will be Phase 6. And that will result in basically, I believe it's 33 lots, did I say?
33 40-foot lots.
Yeah. So that 33, by the way, for the information of council, brings to the total in the city that's in progress right now to 345 building lots. They range from, we have approximately 50 lots over in the Hillside Living on Black Marsh Road. We have up on Moffat Road, which is Pollux Drive in Shruxton. We just talked about a house on Pollux. Basically, we have, 53, we have 75 lots, basically, that are in progress. The Mount Carson Terrace subdivision up in the area of Mount Carson at, say, the Masonic Park, in that area up there, has close to 80 lots on the go. Pearlview, which is up in that area too, we have 41 and 33 lots for a total of 70-odd. Parkdale Ridge have 30 lots completed. And of course we have Commonwealth Gardens is in progress, along with a couple lots remaining there at Court Riel Place. So the total in progress at the city at this time is 345. And in addition to all that, we also have 2 condominium projects on the go, 51 units, the Sundera project at the corner of Topsy Road and Black Marsh Road, as well as 48 units will soon start on Park Avenue. That's with Carwood Contracting and 166. So I just wanted to bring council up to date that there is a lot of housing progress in the city. Some of it basically is continuing to take advantage of some of the open space we have. And there's a shift occurring whereby now we're starting to see more redevelopment and a shift basically in the city growing up. So I guess the subdivisions of the future become higher at the end of the day, the redevelopment of existing land. So back to, I believe it's Phase 6, yeah, the Pearlview subdivision. I'd like to move that we approve that development. There is no issue at the department level. I want to congratulate the engineering department as well as the planning department for seeing this through, and I so move.
Moved, seconded. Question or comment? All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion carried.
Development permits for the period August 5 to 16. Permits 48 to 51 are shown here, and I so move.
All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion carried.
Residential building permits for August 3rd to the 16th. They total $546,800, and I move.
All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion carried.
Sorry, for the same period, on the commercial side, we have $1,169,500, and I move that as well.
Moved, seconded. All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion is carried.
Council, there is one other item outside the kit. It has to do with a proposal from Caramar Holdings. I hope I have the name right. Commercial Condominium Campus. This is an assortment of buildings, namely 6. It's in the civic numbers 19 through 25 Corey King Drive. It's situated in the light industrial zone, and this is in keeping with that. This is a very nice addition to the city. This is a corporate condo concept, and of course, I guess the developer will ultimately be selling units within the condo buildings for the purposes typically, I guess, small retail, well, not so much light manufacturing, but typically the things you'd see in an industrial light zone. The department has gone down through it. Everything seems to be in place. There might be some minor issues still outstanding, but no major conditions that I don't think council couldn't consider this for approval tonight. And I'd like to move. I think it's a great addition, yeah. And I so move.
Moved and seconded. A question for you and for the planner, just for myself. I'm not familiar with this concept or even the term, quite frankly, of a condominium campus. Well, I mean, it's a condominium. It's going to be, I guess, operate like a residential condominium inside the industrial park. It's just, that's all. It's just new to me. Have we had any of this before, or is this the first one of this type that we will experience in the city?
I can't answer whether we've had any in the past. I know we have on the residential side.
Well, we have lots of
In
condos
the
on
case
the
of a
residential
campus,
side.
it's a marketing tool more than anything else, basically. But you have an assortment of buildings, and I guess you have certain common areas as well as certain ownership, on top of it all. I don't know if the director has anything to add more detail, because I don't have any more information.
This
I
is
can really give
this
you.
is kind of new to me as a model. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, Your Worship, this is new. It's a new approach, and really it comes out of the changes. I think, if Council recall, changes to the Condominium Act a number of years ago. There was a substantial number of public consultations on the Condominium Act, and at that time, the legislation is really geared around residential condominium proposals. With changes to the Act, they really began to use the condominium ownership much more flexibly. And in this case, if you take a look at the site plan that's provided, what is really the common services in this development is really they call it Street A and Street B, which is really a large driveway, the parking lots, and the actual services from Corey King Drive, which is our services from Corey King Drive. But from that point into the development, and that's going to be servicing all those buildings, that is all going to be commonly shared services between the buildings, and that's what the common service is for the condominium. Each of those buildings, they'll be in a separate ownership, as you would normally have in a condominium, and then they would pay for those services regarding, say, parking, snow clearing, water and sewer services. The benefit of doing this is that this is actually one large parcel of land, and the condominium corporation is one landowner. And if you take a look at the layout, you can see that they have a bit more intensive development on that site. They're sharing parking lots. The side yards are not quite the same side yard you would normally see in the light industrial use zone, with the exception of the periphery of the lot, the perimeter. That all meets our development standards, because again, this is considered as one lot. In the past, just to give you an example, you've heard many times we've brought applications here for 2 buildings on one lot, and they're subject to a development agreement. Well, this is another way of doing the same thing with multiple buildings and utilizing the land in a much better way. So that intensification, if you recall the municipal plan in 2010, that's the direction we want to go in. Here's an example of a developer that is really responding to that type of direction that council wishes to pursue.
I have a question, Your Worship.
Have we looked at that there is going to be, or does it continue to exist, an access onto Kenmount Road?
Your Worship, what currently is there now on Kenmount Road, and you see the access to it on the page, is it used to be, I don't recall what it's called right now, but I remember it years ago being the old Metro Equipment Building. And if you recall, Council in an earlier proposal wanted to eliminate that access on the Kenmount Road, turn it internal to the park. In this proposal, that if you take a look, that's what they indicate. Now, they do show the driveway still here. We have had discussions with the developer. They're not quite sure if they want to actually eliminate that access entirely. They're thinking of maybe using connection into that back parking lot as an emergency access, so that there's a problem on Corey King Drive through a set of bollards that you can knock down, you can get out onto Kenmount Road. That's what they're thinking at this point. Either that or additional access on the Corey King Drive at the beginning of this proposed building, somewhere in this location. So that's still the detail we're working
The plan is not to have a public thorough
Correct. Not that
through
yeah,
from
through-
Kenmount Road.
Correct.
Councillor Stoyes, you have a question?
Yeah, looking at the plan, I'm just curious 5 regular buildings and 1 larger type of building. I'm just wondering, you said they're all going to be privately owned. I'm just wondering if it's going to be, are they going to be coming back to the city looking for not-for-profit because there's a condo, if they're going to be coming and saying, we're not-for-profit and looking for tax break or something along that lines. I'm just wondering if that came up in discussion.
That's a good question.
Or if we should be looking at that when they're coming together as a condo unit, because most of the condo units that we have, they come looking for not-for-profit status and trying to get discount or whatever. I'm just wondering if that has come up.
I would think they would qualify for business tax exemption if they are non-profit. I don't think we waive, in that case, the property tax. That continues.
We don't waive property tax for anybody.
No. But you do waive, I think,
But we
the
do
business tax,
waive
in
and
case-
modify business tax for registered nonprofits. Would a condo association qualify for that? Because the condo association doesn't actually conduct business.
No, but
Mr. Stoyles. Mr. Stoyles. Stefan. Well, we are having a day of it, aren't we? We are having a day of it. Stefan. Councillor Stoyles. Councillor Stefan. You were a councillor a couple of weeks ago, weren't you?
I'm in good company with
There you
Councillor
go.
Stoyles and Mr. Stoyles. So.
There you go.
Your Worship, just explain the taxation regime. There's 2 taxes. One is a property tax. This is a commercial enterprise. It's not nonprofit. This is a business. The condominium corporation itself that owns the full property in which they will be members of, they will be paying most likely the property tax for those parts that are the condominium, the common services and the areas related to common services. Those pieces that are separate from that will be paid by the individual commercial businesses, and they'll pay the property tax and they'll pay the business tax. So there's no real change. It's just a change of, in terms of taxation. The change really is in land ownership and a way to develop land in a more efficient manner. That's the only change. These are not non-profit. They're not. This is a commercial business, commercial enterprises.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? Councillor Aker?
Maybe I'm finishing
Well,
up here
you
now.
can finish up then.
No, but I was going to go back to, I don't think condo associations ever pay taxes. It's the unit holders in the condos, whether it's residential.
That's right, that pay taxes.
Right, so all of these buildings, I'm assuming, will be individually owned, and they will be subject to property as well as business tax if they're a for-profit type business. What I really like about this is that this number of buildings carved up in such a small way really supports local small business, right? This development on the site, like the director said, basically helps to intensify it. And the nice thing is that going forward, though, a lot of these small buildings, I think, would be very attractive to small businesses as to large corporates. So I think there's a nice niche market here. Hopefully they'll sell well. And I ask you to call the question, Your Worship.
Okay, we will do that. All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried. City Planner, Mr. Yevchek.
Just make a point of clarification, Your Worship. In terms of the taxation of condominiums, Councillor Aker is correct in terms of most of our condos are residential, so they would not be paying any kind of commercial tax.
These guys will, because they're
These
commercial.
people will, because this is a commercial enterprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the condo association itself will not.
They would if the entity has any property within that business park, which they will, they will be paying appropriate commercial taxes on it. Yes.
Good,
It'll be interesting to know.
good. That concludes committee reports. We're up to no business. Well, I'm having a day, aren't I? Councillor Ledwell, would you like to start no business for us?
No business. Thank you, Your Worship. I'd be pleased to. Just a couple of very brief items. First of all, I guess I just want to exchange. It's now contagious.
We're all
on this
into it.
side.
What is going on?
I-
Blame it on the CAO.
I want to extend. Apparently, neither can I. No, I want to extend well wishes to the Connect Club of Mount Pearl, of course, on the fantastic job that they did hosting the National Kin Canada Convention this past week. I know that many members of council will be certainly addressing the matter and speaking on it. Certainly want to commend our two Canettes, Councillor Tessier and Councillor Stalls, on a job well done, and congratulate Gail Britton and all of her team on putting together a fantastic event. Certainly, you know, our volunteer community here in Mount Pearl is second to none, and this is just one more, I guess, example of the wonderful things that our volunteers can do. So kudos to all involved. Secondly, I just want to make mention of the Association for the Arts in Mount Pearl, who just last night clued up their Arts in the Park series they've had over the past 3 weeks. Certainly a great series of events. Very much highlighted some of the young artists and musical talent that we have in the city. It's great to be able to bring that to the fore, because I guess the arts are certainly an indication of who we are as a community and as a society. So certainly encourage the Arts Association to continue the good work that they do. Congratulations to Christine Hennebury and all of her team. And certainly we look forward to Arts Week and Art Fusion itself, which will be coming up in September. I know that they're hard at work on that. So there's good things coming down the pipe for that group as well. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Walsh?
It's been a busy couple of weeks for all of us, I think. A lot of things going on, trying to get to, some of which I was successful in getting to, some of which I didn't because of work-related travel. One of the things that I was sorry to have missed was actually the movie in the park. I understand that was a great event. But the one thing that I wanted to highlight was the Connect Convention. I think what was remarkable about that, well, there were a couple of things that were remarkable about it, but I understand that it was a first for a single Connect club across the country to host an event like that. And when you think of a municipality the size of Mount Pearl, to have as active a community of Connects as we do, and they are active, believe me, I think it's absolutely incredible. So to the entire organizing committee, one of the incoming president, by the way, is Wanda Reese, is one of our employees, and she's just an incredible lady and a real dynamo, lots of energy. So obviously the future of Connects is in great hands. But when you can actually bring several hundred people from across the entire country, from one end to the other, north, south, east, and west, together, and be able to have a time like they had, and it was a time. I've never experienced actually an opening ceremonies that was as much fun and entertaining as as it was this past weekend. I was just going to get to that as well. And the MC, Mr. Mayor, you were in your prime, emceeing that event as well for the opening ceremonies.
Thank you, sir.
That was a great job. Very light, entertaining. It was just fabulous, and of course you moved it along nicely. The whole thing was really, really well done, and it was first-class act. And how could you not, if you were a visitor from some other province in this great country or territory, how could you not be impressed with the kind of warm welcome and the lieutenant governor being there, the red carpet was rolled out, and these Connects really put their hearts and souls into it the entire weekend. But it was really, the launch, as I've said about a number of different things with the Best Boy thing, and a launch is so important to any mission. If you have a successful launch, you're well on your way, and so they just did a great job. So I just wanted to add, Councillor Mike, congratulations to the Connects as well for a tremendous job hosting, and I'm sure they're all beat out. I'm glad I wasn't at the party in the alley or whatever it's called. I'm glad,
The rally
I'm
in
glad
the
I
alley?
didn't do that. So
I think that might have been a dangerous time for some of us older guys. Councillor Stoyles.
I'm going to speak about the Connect, and one of the things the national president said to me was what they were so impressed with was that every member of Mount Pearl Council attended the opening, and not only did they attend it, but they were so proud of the Connect Club and everything that they had done, and to see how well the city works with our service groups, not only the Connect group but all the groups. And the Connect Club in Mount Pearl is one of the largest Connect or Kinsman group in the country. We have 35, 36 women plus some honorary Connects and lifetime members. It's close to 42 altogether with lifetime members, because we have 5 lifetime members and an honorary Connect. So the Connect Club certainly have played a big role in the city over the past 25 years, and kudos to them for doing this. Monmouth convened in 2013, and it was no doubt an awful lot of work went into it, and I attended a number of events, and one of the events I attended that was very impressive was the Speak Off. And the Lions Club do a Speak Off, but this is a Speak Off all across the country, and it was unbelievable to hear them speak about Kinets, and the whole series about it was why a Kinet or a Kinsman, and why stay in it for so long, and it was so impressive. It was unbelievable. Anyway, and I think we should write a letter to the Connect Club and let them know that they've done a great job.
We will certainly.
Message, some divine intervention or something?
Yeah, we will certainly do that. You want to go last? You've been away for a while. Do you want to go last or next? Your call. All right, Deputy Mayor Locke.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo Councillor Walsh and Councillor Ledwell and Councillor Stoyles have said it nicely about the Mummers Convene 2013. And again, Your Worship, you did a great job emceeing it.
Thank you.
Councillor Walsh summarised it beautifully. It was, I mean, all the dignitaries were there, but it was so light, and I think that's what made the impact on the folks that attended. That, you know, all these dignitaries were there, but it was just like a kitchen party, wasn't it? I mean, you know, the Mummers came in dancing around, and it was very, very nicely done. And I said to Councillor Stoyles afterwards that I attended a session earlier this summer for the Kinets. That was my first real introduction to what they do, and I was very impressed with the community work that the Kinets and the Kinsmen do. It was very heartwarming, and that little chant that they do to rally people at the start of it was the Kin song was it was really, really upbeat and very warm-hearted. So again, congratulations.
We can get the two Kinets to sing it if you want. You'd like to hear them. You'd like to hear the two.
That was great.
You'd like to hear Councillor Stoyles and Councillor Tischer sing the song?
Yeah. So you said next time. Anyways, I just want to, and I agree, we should send a letter off to congratulate them because it was no small undertaking and it was very, very well done. So,
Your Worship, one of the things they done was they donated a park, stuff in the park in what's the name of the park? I'm trying to remember. Greenwood Park. And I know Councillor Tessier and a number of Councillor Ricker and Councillor Ludwell also attended that, and it was so good. They donated $5,000 for playground equipment, and you know, the St. John's Maple Leafs also played a part in that as well.
The other item for me, Your Worship, is I attended the Urban Municipalities Committee meetings in Corner Brook on your behalf.
Yes, thank you for doing that.
It was my pleasure. I enjoy that particular committee. Had a couple of opportunities now to go there, but just to highlight, you know, some of the issues that were raised from the other members around the table, of course, were very similar to what we encounter here in terms of the issue of graffiti. And I know you spoke to it this morning, and that was also echoed around the table as to how they're dealing with, you know, public graffiti and how to curb it. The other issue was, of course, speeding. Again, another common theme, and I indicated that, you know, over the last couple of years, I'm going to suggest the number one complaint that I've received from residents is speeding in our city, and, you know, how do we deal with it? So they were asking, you know, do we use speed bumps? You know, are we allowed to ticket people that speed on city roads and stuff like that? So it's a very effective committee in that you know, the 20 largest communities you know, share many of the issues. The second day we had some interesting guest speakers. The first was from Habitat for Humanity, Newfoundland Labrador, and they spoke to some of the projects they're undertaking. So that was interesting. Then we had a gentleman, Mike Comerford from Newfoundland Power, and he had a session, because I know it's come up around here several times, about the use of LED street lights. And he gave a very in-depth, fascinating perspective on. Newfoundland Power, I think, has 33 pilots ongoing now. Down around the boulevard is one, I know, and there's one in Bay Roberts and Corner Brook, and one down right to the coastline. And what they've done is they've invited several of the manufacturers to provide their product, and that's what they've been trying. Fascinating stuff in terms of the technology and what it does. Newfoundland Labrador Power, they have 60,000 streetlights across the province. So the whole notion of phasing them in, and one thing that struck me was, because from an environmental perspective, and this is what was raised here in council, about 1/5 of the cost of street lighting is actually electricity. So the other 4/5 are the maintenance and the armature and all that sort of stuff. But it was kind of neat in terms of the LEDs, and they showed some photographs. I mean, they light up, it's just like daylight. I mean, you can see the green grass and the trees and stuff like that. But there's some issues they're dealing with in terms of he described it, these yellow lights that we use, he called it a blob of light that sort of just sends out this light, but the LEDs are more directional. So they sort of come out and they're very focused. So they're looking at the issue of, well, if we put these directional lights in, are there going to be dark spots? Right. So then the concern is that what they're looking at, if we go with the LED lights, would they require more poles to be put in to eliminate these dark spots? And they're looking at how they, hold up.
Who is this?
Newfoundland Labrador Power. So they're looking at, but it was fascinating.
Newfoundland and Labrador Power. You mean
Newfoundland
Light
Power?
Power?
Yeah,
it's,
Light Power,
it's
yeah.
Fortis.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah. So they're
gotcha.
looking at that, and they figure they're going to have a decision by 2014 in terms of, phasing these in. So that was interesting. And we also had a lady, Kimberly Legg, from the Health Line, Newfoundland Labrador Health Line. And I just want to throw the number out there, 1-888-709-2929. Their mission is to try to get more usage. I think they said they have funding for up to 52,000 calls, and they had about 35,000 calls last year. They provide a fascinating service in that people with any issues can call this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they'll provide assistance to let you know as to whether or not you should seek further medical attention and stuff like that. And I know that my wife used it for my younger boy one time. He had a nosebleed that just wouldn't stop. So she called the health line, and they were able to offer some advice. So their goal is to try to get it into a little fridge magnet or awareness into every household in Newfoundland and Labrador. So I'm going to suggest that perhaps we might be able to put a link up on our city website and promote it a little more for the residents of Mount Pearl, because I think it's a very, very effective service that these folks offer. And again, it's the registered nurses that man the phone lines, and they provide, again, this service 24/7. So I just wanted to bring that up. And that's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, very much. Councillor Tessier?
That's actually a really good thing. I've used that helpline before, and it's very, very useful. It can save you a trip to the Janeway, really, which is quite nice, because these nurses know what they're talking about. I want to echo Council's sentiments on the cadets. Mummers Convene in 2013. I'll tell you, they all worked extremely hard this summer. I got to see the emails, didn't get to participate, of course, because of what was going on with my son, but it was just outstanding. The efforts were endless, and I mean morning, noon, night, day after day. The efforts were, and I'm telling you, it paid off in spades, because it was just outstanding. I think everybody had just a blast in Newfoundland. I also want to extend congratulations to Christine Henneberry and the Association for the Arts in Mount Pearl for their Arts in the Park series. It's just been outstanding to go down to Centennial Park and to see it alive. Like, we've seen that now several times this summer, to see it lined with young people, with some young people that are not small children, some teenagers. It's just been absolutely outstanding. There's been something for just about everybody, and to have something that you can offer to families to go to that is, again, a free service that they can participate in, learn something, have some fun. It's absolutely wonderful, and I want to extend congratulations to Christine Henneberry and the Association for the Arts. And they also said that they had tremendous support from the community services staff as well, from Krista and Megan, and there's another young girl, I can't remember her name. Angela, absolutely. Christine actually pointed them out last night and said the three of them have been absolutely instrumental in the success of Arts in the Park in Mount Pearl. So I want to extend congratulations and thanks to them as well. Director Collins, if you'll pass that on for us. It's interesting to hear you speak, Deputy Mayor, about the issue of speeding being a provincial-wide concern. Because when we get the complaints, people are very upset if it's in their neighborhood, and they feel very isolated, like their neighborhood is the busiest and the worst, and want speed bumps and want this done. It's not comforting to hear that it's everywhere, because it's not. It's a terrible situation. But I wonder what can be done. What kind of initiatives can be done province-wide to curb it in general? We've seen some very, very serious and quite often fatal accidents because of speeding in this province, and I think I'd love to see some kind of legislation, something. I mean, aside from speed zones. I mean, clearly there are speed limits in place. You're expected to adhere to them, but people are not doing that. What can we do to encourage people to slow down on our highways and on our city streets, particularly where children are playing all the time? What can we do? I look forward to that discussion. I'm sure that at MNL in the fall, hopefully it'll be on the agenda as well. because I think a much more aggressive approach needs to be taken, because unfortunately, speed limits and enforcement, people just aren't getting the message. Unfortunately, it shouldn't be about enforcement. It should be about people actually respecting that there are speed limits for a reason. So I really look forward to that. Actually, I'm looking forward to hearing more about that in the fall when the municipalities get together again and meet. Thank you for bringing that forward.
Thank you very much. Councillor Tessier, Councillor Aker.
Well, I too have to echo the great job that the Mummers did. The Mummers convened, the organizing committee did. It started off just like Christmas, right? Any Mummers out there, and there was dancing on the floor. We had a great opening ceremony. Your Worship, you did a great job emceeing it, the rally in the alley. And the nice thing too was that legacy project, and good on the Ice Caps, as well as the Williams Family Foundation, as well as the Canettes, for leaving that little legacy to the children, of our city, and maybe some of the older children will partake in that park as well. They did a great job, and I want to congratulate Wanda Reese on taking on the president for the next year, and wish her good luck in it. She will serve the city well, as she always does, both in the community as well as a city staffer. Want to wish them all good luck, and I imagine they're still catching up on their sleep.
Mm-hmm.
We had a meeting last week in the planning group, I guess you could say. It wasn't really the committee, but the Green Team left us on Thursday, I think it was. They did a wrap-up. We're going to have more details to talk about, not in tonight's committee, but perhaps in 2 weeks' time. Some interesting stuff, though, that they discovered, especially as it relates up to the power center. For example, over where Walmart, Canadian Tire, and that is, there's no garbage buckets up there, and essentially there's a lot of buck passing going on. Where the property owners say it's up to the businesses to put them there, and the businesses say no, it's up to the property owners. But clearly, it's private property; it's not up to the city. And I think we do a fine job cleaning up the area that's public property in that area. So we've got to, I think, take the report and the results that they've achieved from their review this summer and drill down a little further as we try to tackle the issue of litter. That was the Chambers Green Team. Now the other Mount Pearl Green Team, which focused on the upper part of the Waterford River, they're finding that some of the businesses along Topsail Road actually are not being very diligent with their garbage, and a lot of it's coming down from the banks behind the businesses. So they've got some pictures of that. And I thought that was really revealing, because if you look at the river and through the cleanup the last 2 or 3 years, the lower portion of the river, say from Pipers all the way down, is not in bad shape. Probably it's in really good shape after the 3 years of cleanup. But the upper portion needs to be worked on a little bit more. And we're going to need now a little bit more cooperation from individuals, businesses, in terms of capturing or trying to prevent at source the litter from getting in the river. So that's just a little update there. And one last thing on a serious note, the movie was very well attended. And, thanks to CIBC. But I just want to pass on a thank you from Con and Sandra Milmore, who are with the St. Vincent de Paul Society. A lot of people brought non-perishable food items. And I think they had stocked up the food bank on city days. And both of them were telling me that even only a few weeks later, some of the shelves were getting down there again. I guess in the summer, people typically don't think to drop stuff off at the food bank. They're on vacation. So they really appreciate it. So, there's a win-win there for CIBC, for the residents of Mount Pearl, as well as those who use the food bank. And that's it, Your Worship.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I'm going to make one little statement myself. Do not forget, everybody. I don't know how we're going to do it, though. The dog park. We are going to open it next Tuesday. The brand new Mount Pearl, City of Mount Pearl dog park for big dogs, little dogs, with lights and water and all of the bells and whistles. We're going to open it next Tuesday. Now, I don't know whether we're going to cut a ribbon. What are we doing? Do we know what we're going to do? I'm sure we're not just going to get there and bark, are we? We're going to invite a whole bunch of people and obviously a bunch of pet owners to bring their dogs to the new dog park next Tuesday. It is scheduled for 12 noon, is what I have it listed for here. And hopefully we're going to get a nice turnout of people, and that it won't be rough at all. We started with a pun. We might as well end with a pun. A motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Ledwell. We stand adjourned. I had an email from somebody saying how beautiful it is. Well, of course, you're going to have, Well, I mean, we should have signs up there